Fala pessoal, Max Jefferson aqui falando. Estamos ao vivo aqui diretamente com a retransmissão do Erick Yuan, que é o responsável pelo Zoom, que é o
Good morning,
fundador.
everyone. Thanks for joining. We're going to go ahead and get started in a few more minutes.
Fundador, ok, é o fundador do Zoom. E ele vai trazer algumas situações para nós aqui, tá? Então, assim, eu vou depois, vai ser em inglês, vou avisar para vocês de uma vez, vai ser tudo em inglês. E o que eu puder fazer depois, eu vou fazer um apanhado geral para passar para vocês. Mas, por enquanto, eu não vou interagir no momento da live. Isso aqui está sendo mais para gravação do que nós vamos fazer. Para quem não conhece, o Zoom é uma ferramenta de webconferência que teve noticiado aí nos últimos dias, até pela Anvisa ou empresas maiores, que alteraram devido à falta ou problemas na segurança. Então, vamos ouvir o que o Erick Yuan tem a dizer. Podem interagir se vocês quiserem, e o que eu puder eu traduzo na hora. Caso contrário, eu farei um apanhado depois.
Please use the Q&A panel and go ahead and send those in so we can be sure to make sure we can see your question and can answer that today. We will get started here in a few more minutes. Thank you for joining. All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and start to kick things off. My name is Kristen Klein. I'm on the marketing team here at Zoom. And thanks for joining us for today's webinar. We're going to walk through a few housekeeping items to get everyone ready for the event. So we are recording today's webinar. We will share the recording with anyone who's registered, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. We will also be following up with a blog that summarizes the content and what we go through today. So if you're interested in learning more or reading that, please check our blog later today. I want to also mention we are using the webinar product to host today's event. So you will be on mute and your video is turned off as a participant. Only the host, myself and Eric, and a few other panelists will have their video ability to be turned on. Please send in your questions to that Q&A panel. We are going to get a ton of questions. We're going to do our very best to address and answer as many as possible, but we are hosting this webinar on a weekly basis. So if you didn't get your question answered, please come back and see us next week, and we're happy to continue to have this conversation. Again, thank you for joining us. And Eric, please go ahead and take it away.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you all for joining me today. This is our first Zoom weekly webinar. I really appreciate it. So it has been a very busy few weeks, and starting from adding capacity, for several weeks, and we worked tirelessly and also fix all the issues, we got. So I want to say thank you so much. So also, I'm very happy to talk directly to Zoom users, new and old, valued customers, and everyone else to share the steps taken to further strengthen our platform. First of all, I want to start with how we got here. So Zoom was primarily built for use by our enterprise and business customers over the past several years. But during this global health crisis, where we saw a lot of brand new users and also brand new use cases, such as tens of thousands of K-12 schools all over the world started using Zoom, and also friends, family for the happy hour, and also like even online weddings. We never thought about those use cases before. So usage far surpassed anything we expected. And before this crisis, now the peak time, the daily meeting participant around 10 million. And in March, more than 200 million is really unprecedented usage, and we never expected that. However, we have been working around the clock to ensure all users stay in touch and operational. We also strengthened our commitment to security practices and privacy practices in this process. And we are committing to this in the future as well. So I'd like to start with, what kind of missteps, based on the past several weeks experience. But in our urgency, things for enough about educating new users on our policies, like how to use Zoom and how to set up a security settings. Because used to be when we work together with enterprise customers, IT team, they talk with us, because we already have all those built-in security features, they pre-configure those features and help their users to come on board. Also, we do not have very thoughtful enough about some of the features great for enterprise companies, but do not make sense for consumers. Like in the training scenario, the attention tracking feature is very useful for the training scenario, but for the consumers and the consumers, I think this a conflict with privacy, and we disabled it entirely. So if you ask me, hey, Eric, is Zoom safe or not? With new level of scrutiny, it comes down to these two questions. Is Zoom safe compared to peers? Is Zoom safe for those new consumer user cases? I can tell you, Zoom absolutely safe compared to the peers and also our enterprise customers. Because before these prices, we have so many enterprise customers, top security companies. They all did all kinds of penetration testing, and also we shared our best practice. We built the trust. So again, it's very safe. And also we made lots of changes, like enforcing the meeting password, enforcing the meeting room, disable those the privacy features. For the first time, new consumer use cases, again, the answer is also yes. Clearly, we have a lot of work to do to ensure the security of all, to handle all those brand new consumer use cases. And because those new use cases, we just started over the past several weeks. But what I can promise you, we take these issues very, very, very seriously. We are looking into each and every one of them. And when we find an issue, we acknowledge it, and we will fix it. Also, we'll be transparent about what we are doing. So I also want to share with you a little bit about what we have done so far. So we have demos and training sessions, tutorials, webinars for new users, and also teach users how they protect meetings and like password and waiting room. We also updated our privacy policy so everyone can understand, including the K-12, the school teachers. Make sure people they know Zoom. We have never sold user data in the past, and we have no intention to do it. Specifically for K-12 education users, we have special guides and tutorials. We have a dedicated K-12 privacy policy. We changed the default setting, as I mentioned earlier, and enable the password and virtual waiting room as well. Also, we disable the screen share by default, meaning only teachers can share the screen. Also, based on Facebook feedback over the past several weeks, we also fixed other things like remove the Facebook SDK in our iOS client, remove the attention tracking feature, and fix the Mac installer issue, and also a fix for the Windows and UNC link. Changed the terminology. We use the Zoom encryption, and however, it's a process problem, and our documentation still use end-to-end encryption. That's absolutely wrong. That's sorry for the confusion. So given all those issues filled, and last Friday, we also had a report about the China issue. And I also want to tell you this issue, after we got that report last Friday, that issue was also completely fixed. And I also know many customers concerned about, hey, what had happened? What was said? To be clear, this should have never happened. And this issue was completely addressed last Friday. We already removed all the China targeting servers. But today, I want to leverage this opportunity to explain to you what had happened. Then you will, especially for the security researchers, and you can evaluate the impact. We truly believe impact is very minor. So first of all, I want to share with you, how it should work. So we built a global, data center, 17 data centers, and to have a best performance. Say you are joining this meeting from Germany, you will talk to the Germany data center. You are joining this meeting from Japan or China. We talk to the local data center, and all those data centers will be connected. This is a global distributed meeting architecture for both best performance. A US attendee tries to connect to 5 US data centers to find the best connection. If there's no any response from those 5 US data centers in 5.5 seconds from those 5 data centers, then we'll try again with the 3 tunneling server. We call it HTTPS tunneling server in the US. And we tried that. If any of them, return, and we are going to use that. Otherwise, timeout, return an error. So the HTTPS tunneling server that response first will be used to route the connection back to our US data center. And also a unique encryption key is generated for each meeting, only held in the system memory and immediately destroyed at the end of the meeting. So what occurred for a very limited time is if the 5 US data center did not respond to the attempt by the US attendee to join the meeting, then the 3 HTTPS tunneling server in the US plus 1 HTTPS tunneling server in China were pinged. The China HTTPS tunneling server should never have been an option for non-China participants because that's configuration and the design flaw. In terms of impact, because this is based on the connection failure, it's very random. So I give one example based on the initial analysis in a sample taken in the US meeting participant on April 1st, 2020. Only 37 participants would have connected to the US data center, but instead routed through our China data center, tunneling server, and connected back to our US data center. To put it in context, on that day, we had over 233 million participants worldwide that day. So essentially, those 37 meeting participants, when they join the meeting, suppose they should connect to our US data center server, but they were connected to our China data center and then routing back to US data center server because of the connection failure. And also the service really, our service really cannot determine in advance who will need to utilize the tunneling server. It's very random based on 5 HTTPS, 5 server failed and the pinged HTTPS server. And also no meeting data is left behind or stored in the tunneling server. Also, we know that regarding these 37 participants, we know which custom, which account, and which meeting, and which participant they had a connection failure, and then routed back to our China data center. So by the way, those China data center managed by us, and also we use AWS China, and also use Telstra and Australia Telecom, their facility. So that's I just want to explain what had happened. We have completely removed all China tunneling servers from our infrastructure. I guarantee you this will never happen again. Given our commitment to security, privacy by design, we have very, very, very high confidence this will never happen again. Again, I just want to share with you why we have a global distributed meeting architecture to have the to boost the performance. So what we are going to do going forward, we are determined to do better and hold ourselves to the highest standard on security and privacy. So over the next 90 days, we decided to freeze any new features. Entire team will laser focus on privacy and security, and conduct a comprehensive review with third-party experts and representative users to understand and ensure the security for all new consumer use cases, and also engaging a series of simultaneous white box penetration tests. Actually, before this crisis, we talked with many enterprise customers, and we ran all kinds of penetration testing. So that on that front, we do have high confidence. Also preparing a transparency report that details information related to the request for data, records, and content. And also we are going to double down on our bug bounty program. We have a public bug bounty program, also a private bug bounty program. I really appreciate all the security researchers. Thank you for your help. please work together with us and submit those. We are going to take it very, very seriously. Also, as you saw from this morning, we launched a Zoom CISO Council, the leading CISOs across the world, and they are going to help us, working together with us. We are going to have open, ongoing dialogue on security and privacy, the best practices. And also, we are very, very happy, very excited to hire Alex Stamos, and widely respected expert on cybersecurity. He was a former chief security officer of Facebook and joined us recently as an outside advisor. So in closing, I want to share with you, transparency is always been a core part of our company, the culture and value. I look forward to these webinars and every Wednesday. And I'm very, very committed. We are very, very committed. And so also want to give you a little bit more update just about today. And we just rolled out a new client update, and please update the latest version. So we added a feature called security, especially for the first time new users. And quite often they do not know where to lock the meeting, how to enable the waiting room, how to disable the private chat or screen sharing, or how to expel a user. We put all those features together, and we call it security. Really help our customers and to easily navigate through those security features. Okay, with that, thank you all, and thank you, appreciate it.
Great, thanks, Eric, and thanks everyone for sending in your questions. We've seen a few themes here, so I'm going to try to touch on some things that a lot of people are asking about. So the first one, I think you've touched on this again, but Eric, could you just reiterate? A lot of people are asking, they run their IT organizations or they have Zoom at their company, and they want to know, how do they tell or talk to their end users who are using Zoom? Is Zoom safe to use? Is Zoom secure for their employees or their teams to use?
Yeah, it's a great question. First of all, I want to make sure all those questions from audience, we do not prepare any questions, so you just make sure it's open and transparent. I think Zoom is, before this crisis, we have many enterprise customers. We did all kinds of penetration testing. And also for some big banks, we also share the source code with them. They come to our office, review the source code. We have a best practice, and I think it's safe. Otherwise, we really cannot grow to like 9 years, almost 3,000 employees. So many, very big enterprise customers, security companies, the banks. And for the consumer, the new use cases over the past several weeks, we did and improve our the settings for first time user. Default password is on, default waiting room feature is on. We just added these security features. I think it's very safe. For enterprise customer, it's safe. For consumers, it's safe. We are very committed. Well, I have high confidence. I can tell you, Zoom is safe. Thank you.
Great, thanks. We got some questions around file sharing, and whether we disabled file sharing over the weekend and when that would be available again to end users who are looking to use that feature.
Yeah, so given that the entire resources we're working on, and look at every corner, look at every code, every feature, make sure any privacy and security issues, and we found the potential the security vulnerability. That's why we disabled that feature. And meaning for file sharing is when you download the file from the cloud, because we integrated with quite a few the cloud drive. So we want to make sure fix that and then re-enable that.
Great, thank you.
So meaning if there's any conflict between those features and privacy and security first.
Exactly. Okay. I know we talked about waiting rooms, or you touched on those, and I think there's a lot of questions around when waiting rooms will be available for Zoom webinar, if we plan to add that feature.
Yeah, the team is working on that. I'm so sorry I do not have a date, but we are going to follow up. Yeah.
Great. And I think there was also some question around just configuring the waiting room, or any questions about any of these features. We do offer daily trainings if you want some more specific assistance on how to turn on and use the features that we're going to be talking about.
Yep.
Another great question is, how do you prevent unwanted participants to join your meetings, or how do you stop Zoom bombing, and what would be our recommendations around that?
Yeah, I can share with you our recommendation, or maybe my personal best practice. I use Zoom for almost 8 or 9 years. Every day I have lots of Zoom meetings because I do not travel very often. I think first of all, every meeting, please set up a password, and also ideally only for your internal meeting, you use your personal meeting ID. Of course, your personal meeting ID, if you use it with other people and it's, it's not good. So always generate a random meeting ID. Don't use your personal meeting ID. And for that, and also enable password. And a waiting room, if you want to enable, perfect, especially for K-12 schools. And for business meetings, for me, I normally I have a password, and plus after the participant I invited to join the meeting, I like to lock the meeting. And for the very, very sensitive meeting, like our internal executive staff to review our quarterly report, normally you can enable only allow authenticated users to join the meeting, meaning with the same domain, right? With the same zoom.us domain, user can join my meeting, and also enable the watermark feature. So in case I share the content, and maybe someone leaked the content, we can enable the watermark. You even can enable the audio watermark. A lot of security features built in, and please, I think, follow those best practice. Lock the meeting, password, a waiting room, and never share your screenshot to the social media.
Great. There was one question I want to follow up on with regard to the password. So some people were just asking how the password helps protect the meeting, and if you could assign a unique password, or if that's something we're planning on being able to do.
So normally, because you generate a random meeting ID every time, that's why every time password is different. That's why I do not recommend you use a personal meeting ID. And personal meeting ID is fixed, right? And the password also the same, right? This is not very secure. Only used sometimes for internal meetings. And every time every meeting is different, and the password is different. And that's my advice.
Great. Can we touch on some clarification around whether Zoom sells user data? There was just from content from recordings, chats, how we collect data. Can we speak about that whole data piece?
Our business model is to have a subscribers, primarily driven by the enterprise customer, business customers. We never, sold any customer data. That's not our business model. We have no intention to do that, in the future as well. And we really don't understand the consumer, the data, meaning sell to the other third party advertiser, the company. That's not our focus at all. And having said that, for sure, we really understand that the privacy is very important, and we are going to review everything to make sure any data. Ideally, after the meeting is over, we are not going to leave a lot of information in our cloud. We try to very, very minimal to help you join meeting, start meeting. After that, try to make it very, very clear.
Great. That's helpful. And I think there was some questions just from like a teacher and education perspective about recording their meetings or their classes they're hosting with Zoom, whether they should be recording to the cloud or recording locally. Can we talk a little bit about recordings?
So yeah, we support two types of recording. One is you can record on your local machine, and another one you can record to our cloud. And I think quite often it really depends on how you use the Zoom. Right? If you're so for this after the meeting, you think you can wait for several hours, that's okay. You can record in our cloud, and also you can set up a password and don't leak that. And however, if you were a private session, I highly recommend you just record in your client machine. Again, also protect that well, and don't share that recorded file to others. Don't upload it to the social media. So normally for me, and I like to use the client-side recording, and I can quickly get a recorded file, and also I can protect that as well. I do not, upload any other places in case I forgot a password.
Yep, that makes sense. Another great question was just around, we've talked a little bit about some of the security features that we've enabled or features that we've put on by default. Do you have any idea, or you want to give a sneak peek of things you're thinking about, what other security features we might put on the roadmap, or what people will see in the future?
Yeah, I think today we just have this new client update, right? And that's one security feature, and another security feature regarding the encryption. For now we are using the 256 and AES and ECB, and we already enabled that for one customer, and since I think over the past several months, but we are going to roll this feature out to all of our customers. However, this feature does need every client to be updated to the latest version, so that will take some time. I think in the next 45 days, we're going to upgrade our encryption from 256 ECB to the AES 256 GCM, and that's one feature, and we are working on. At the same time, Today the way for us to use the AES encryption, the key is generated by our system, by our servers, and we're also working on feature, and the key will be generated, will be from you, from our customers. We do not generate key anymore. We call that is the new more like an option for the very critical meetings. We do not generate key anymore, and the customer generate key, and also get your feedback. We want to make this code open source. That's why we wanted to work together with all the security researchers, and also make sure review our design, and also can open source this code, for the upcoming and encryption and the key generated by customer. For sure, this feature has some limitations. That's why a lot of conference vendors, and we do not enable this feature by default, because with this feature on, you cannot use the phone to dial in. Traditional Cisco Polycom device cannot dial in, and the cloud recording also does not work. A lot of limitation, but we think that works to add this feature. And we look forward to working together with all of you and try to make the open source as well.
Yeah, and there was a lot of great comments just around features that you guys are looking for. We do have submit a feature request on our support page that I want to make sure I call out. If you have a feature request, we are welcome to get your feedback, as Eric mentioned. So please be sure to use that as well. Just regarding client updates and the update we did today, there were some questions about if we do a forced update, or will we do a forced update? And then just from an IT perspective, how can they push out this update to everyone in their company or their organization?
Yeah, that's great. Normally for the important update, so enterprise IT team, they push the, with MSI package, or the Mac installer, to their desktop, first. That's why when I mentioned like the, the AES, 256 GCM, even if we roll out the client, we are not going to enable that until the most important users, and especially and a lot of enterprise customers, after they roll out this latest version to the client, and then we enable that feature. So we, over the past several years, we always work together with those enterprise customers and to roll out those clients. And so we know how to do that.
Great. Let's talk a little bit more about education. I know there's a lot of people with questions around that. So a question was, what safeguards should they take to prevent people from hacking into a server for a school or for an educator?
I think again, it's I think education is very important, and also I think for sure and we have a daily webinar, we have a lot of tutorials, and please take a little bit of time to understand that, and also do a test run if your first time the want to try the online class, and also tell the students don't share the class room meeting ID, and every meeting enable password, enable the waiting room. After all the case in the class, just lock the meeting. We added this new security feature. It's very easy to find where to lock. So four things. I'm sorry. Don't share meeting ID with any others. Password, waiting room, lock the meeting.
And even registration, maybe perhaps if you're looking to really understand who's going to come to your meeting, I would recommend that too, right, Eric?
Yeah, right on. But they may not have a Zoom account. We do not allow those kids to have a Zoom account. They have to use other ways like a Google login. Google Classroom.
Awesome. There was a question around some of the announcements that we've talked about, some that you mentioned earlier on the call, and where we have that documented, or where they could find some of this stuff we're talking about today. Do you want to touch on that, or I can touch on that too?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
You can find everything on the Zoom blog. So Eric mentioned the blog that went out this morning. There was also a few blogs that address a lot of these questions. If you go to blog.zoom.us, you are able to find a lot of this information, detail, links to where the support article mentions how to turn these features on, and more specifically how they work. So I'd highly recommend you take a look at the blog. And if you want to subscribe, you would get those updates when a new blog is available, it'll be emailed to you. So I do recommend that you go at least and bookmark that page, bookmark our support site. You can see release notes there. But those are two great assets to understand what we're doing and the latest information. Let's do another data question. So someone's asking, what data got sent to Facebook?
So let me take a step back. So our iOS client, we support and Zoom ID login, Facebook ID login, or Google ID login to facilitate the customer to use our services. Otherwise, they download the iOS client, they need to register a Zoom account. I think that's the reason why we introduced the Facebook login and the Google login, long time ago. However, to support the Facebook login, to facilitate that, and our engineer team, and we embedded the Facebook SDK into our iOS client. And however, I think we do not know that. It's a shame on us. We do not know that actually when we initialize SDK, suppose only until you log in with Facebook, we should initialize. It's more like a software bug. We initialize the SDK, after you launch the iOS client, it's very easy. After you initialize the iOS SDK, that's API, we'll send some not a personal sensitive information, or device information, back to Facebook. And we did not know that. After realize that, within 24 hours, we already removed that Facebook SDK. We embedded browser to let you log in. So with that, it's very, very clean. Again, this is this is what had happened.
Great. Let's talk on the attention tracker. So for education, I know we touched on this a little bit, but can you just speak to what the attention tracker is and why we have that feature?
Yeah, so I came from WebEx. This feature actually long time ago. WebEx also as well, the training center. I know a lot of people when they join the training session, they would like to use this feature. So first of all, this feature by default is off. The way it works is in a training session. See, and I'm the host, and I have a training session. 5 students join my class. When I share the screen, they will see my screen. And sometimes they do not want to focus on viewing my screen. They might be multitasking to check the email. I just get an attention indication. Hey, Christine, and looking at other stuff. I do not know which other stuff she's looking. Just to get an attention indicator. Meaning she's multitasking. That's the attention tracking feature, and they only used for training cases. By default, is also off. I understand the privacy concerns. We disable that feature completely forever.
Great, thank you. There's a question around virtual backgrounds.
Technically, yes, very feasible. And we started from virtual background because this is also based on our customer feedback over the past several years. Quite often they work from home and they really do not want to kind of attend on the video because sometimes I also join a meeting from the kitchen. And over the past several years, and we added this virtual background. I think to support a blur background, we can, but next 3 months for sure we cannot. And no any new features. And every feature got to be related to security and privacy. After the 3 months, we are going to evaluate if security privacy in very good control. All of our customers tell us yes, we better, and no any new issues, and we are going to add features. Otherwise, again, we are committed. Privacy, security first.
Yep. This is a question I think you might want to just touch on again. I'm seeing a lot of this is why is password security not required across the board for Zoom meetings?
If you do not have a password, what if other people, they know your meeting ID, either you shared or maybe your email is hacked for whatever reason, they get a meeting ID and they just one click, they can join the meeting, right? That's why, this is not a secure, it's just a meeting ID. I think especially given the size of users, before this crisis, on daily basis, only 10 million participants only used for the business conversations. And I think ID is probably, is pretty secure. For now, there's so many hundreds of millions of users are using that. And I would say, this is really, really, I would say, without a password, I think I'm scared, make sure you have a password.
Right. Let's see, let's talk about healthcare and telehealth. We haven't really touched on that, but there's some questions around if Zoom is safe to use and if we're HIPAA compliant.
Yeah, so we support HIPAA compliance for a while, and telemedicine, telehealth is very important. And yeah, we really doubling down on that. We have a lot of healthcare organizations, who are using Zoom during this pandemic crisis, a lot, yeah. We also can send BAA as well with healthcare customers. We also have, integration, with healthcare other systems like Epic.
Yep. Okay, and let's see. What can we expect Zoom to announce over the next 3 months during our review of the security of our platform?
We will keep everything open, transparent. First of all, we recommend all the security researchers, working together with us for the bug bounty program, and we will, look at every, thing you found, and we are going to, keep working hard to fix that issues, and also we are going to review our, the privacy and and also the every features, double check, and I think that as I mentioned earlier, right, to upgrade AES 256 from ECB to GCM is one task, and also we are going to working on another task to support the key generated by customer, right? And those I think more like on top of my mind for now.
And again, if you are looking for more updates, be sure to check the blog because we will be making updates there too.
Yep. Yeah, please, come back to join the Zoom webinar every week. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about just the video conferencing industry and other platforms in general. So do they have similar features to Zoom, and do they work differently? What do you think security issues mean for the industry as a whole, and how we can improve that?
That's a great question, specifically on encryption, because, I was, part of original WebEx founding team, and before the Zoom also VP engineer WebEx. The way for WebEx to encrypt, very, very similar. And actually, before I left, if I recall correctly, you can double check, is WebEx UDP traffic, also AES, but 128, also based on ECB. And I left for 8 years. I do not know what's the latest, the status. This everyone uses something similar. AES either 128 or 256, ECB or GCM, because for conferencing I did not see it's really hard to support the true end-to-end encryption. And that's why we should not call that true end-to-end encryption from client side to server side, right? That's from encryption perspective. For feature, if you look at a feature like attention, tracking feature, and of course, some customers migrate from WebEx to us. They use that feature before for WebEx training center. They really want us to have this feature. That's why we built this feature, right? I think I did not double check. I'm pretty sure WebEx training center still had this feature, right? I think look at the overall conference industry, and I think I think feature wise, I would say no big difference, and architecture wise, also no big difference. Only big difference is video first or not video first, right? That's the biggest difference. Plus we have a new architecture. It's a global distributed meeting center, and as we give you the best performance, right? That's the difference. Yeah.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about the differences between a pro plan, a business plan, and an enterprise plan. So in terms of privacy, can you help us outline what the differences are? And then what's the difference between the education K through 12 privacy policy and plan?
Yeah, so we build a lot of, we have a lot of built-in security features. And normally for business customer, enterprise customers, our, team, work together, with those enterprise customers, before they roll out. So, however, for the free users or pro users, just you buy online, and I think that in terms of privacy security, we need to make sure give them I think a framework, meaning they can easily maybe a package, like a K-12 schools, right? We, if we looking back, on day one we should have a K-12 school package, the password, waiting room, this for attendance sharing. And we should create that package, meaning not only do we offer the service to them, but also we should act as more like IT role for them. I think that's difference between the free pro and enterprise and business customers.
Great. And like Eric mentioned, we do offer education specifically for educators to help you guys make sure you are using the features that Eric's mentioning. So please feel free to attend one of those, and we're happy to help get you set up and enabled. Can we talk a little bit about encryption concerns for healthcare and what we have available for that, and how we're addressing concerns specifically for that industry?
Yeah, for healthcare, for HIPAA compliance, right? It's kind of, we follow that, and a lot of medical schools, healthcare providers, right? They do, because with that HIPAA compliance, a lot of features, are not available. Like a cloud recording, for sure not available, and the patient name. I think is we have a document for about the HIPAA compliance and how to set it up, that with the customers. And a lot of features are not available after we enable that. So just for the security for HIPAA compliance perspective.
Great.
We also sign a BAA with some very large healthcare providers.
Yeah. Let's go back to waiting rooms. I've seen this question a few times. So some people are asking, are waiting rooms secure? And can you speak to the vulnerabilities around that feature?
Yeah, so we did upgrade our server. So I think the waiting room related security vulnerability is already fixed. So meaning, and so the previously and before the fix, for the waiting room, you are in the waiting room for sure. You cannot come with the main room. You cannot hear the audio. You cannot hear the video. And we from a server side, we did not send audio and video data to the waiting room client. However, and we do send the session key, for this meeting session key to the waiting room, even there's no audio video data. We do not think that's safe. So we changed our server. So if you are waiting in the waiting room just for client, I mean, for you do not know, any user do not know it. Only for I was the security researcher or hackers, they know that, right? We do not send any, the audio video data, no session key, no the participant roster information. We do not send it back. So that's how we fix that problem.
So waiting rooms are secure.
It's secure, yeah.
Yeah. What about Zoom for Government? So how is that different from the Pro free or enterprise plan?
Yeah, take that China incident, right? And I mentioned the 37 participants that day. And, this is only for the, free user club, the commercial club. The government club, there's no any impact. Government club is, we have a federal rep certificate. It's very, very strict environment. And, all the DevOps team all must be the, a citizen. And also it's some features disabled and, very, very different, unique, the environment. Also, we wanted to raise the bar and think let's look at this iOS SDK issue or maybe attention tracking feature issue. This is another thing we are thinking while working to work on based on the feedback. It's likely, and down the road we are going to have basically the same. We are going to kind of remove all those not a necessary code for the government use cases, completely remove all the consumer use cases, give a different code word and just for the government cloud. For now, it's the backend infrastructure side is totally separate.
Great, thanks for clarifying. And then let's just touch on this. So there was a question that we've specified that we've never sold user data. However, all transactions, information between entities are necessarily dependent upon a sale or transfer of money or goods. Have you ever provided user data to other companies or entities in any way?
So we use the third party, the billing engine, the charging engine, right? You want to pay online, with the credit card or the payment information. For sure, we need to, kind of, to process that. We need to leverage a third party, and yeah, that's that's pretty much and very sensitive information, your credit card, and it just goes to a third party, for the payment. Other than that, for the meeting, it's just for join the meeting, no. We do not, kind of share with any others for any data. Only, use that as your metadata, for analytic, for the meeting performance.
Great, thank you. I think that we're going to go ahead and wrap up. So Eric, are there any final thoughts or anything else at the top of mind you want to make sure everyone's aware of?
I think first of all, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate, and thank you for your support. And and please keep supporting us and join the webinar next week as well. I want to tell you we are fully committed. As Zoom is safe, please continue using that. And any feedback, I really appreciate. And thank you so much. I really appreciate for all your support. And thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining. We'll be sure to share the recording after the event. And again, please join us if you didn't get your question answered. We really appreciate you taking the time with us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Como vocês puderam ver, algumas situações aí, a gente vai traduzir para vocês, vai fazer um apanhado, ok? Mas a informação que começou foi que o Zoom tinha cerca de 10 milhões de usuários, agora estava com 100 milhões, com 200 milhões. Tem coisas para fazer? Tem, mas a gente ainda pode continuar confiando na plataforma. Depois eu vou, categorizar algumas falas específicas dele e vou lançar nas minhas redes sociais para vocês, tá bom? Um abraço, até a próxima.